Welcome to Licht hören, a podcast about light, lighting, and the people behind it. Here, we explore this fascinating field, from education and daily practice to how we imagine and shape its future.
Hello, and welcome to Licht hören and our new series where we talk to the people in the lighting community. Today, I'm talking to Katrina Matejcik from New York City. Hi, and welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Katrina, who are you and what do you do in the lighting community?
I'm an emerging lighting designer, but also a professor in lighting design.
So I learned that you actually do a lot as a lighting designer, as a freelancer, in a studio, and education. How did you end up there? Is there a path?
I guess my path isn't as clear of a trajectory, but ever since I went into graduate school, I knew that I wanted to be in the classroom and continue to be a teacher and share what I'm learning and to cultivate a sense of curiosity around a subject that is so beautiful.
So you actually do three different things. Two of them are pretty similar, but do you have a specific topic? Is it more residential, or how do you interact with light in that field?
Yeah. So within my lighting design practice, I work partially at a firm, Loop Lighting, where I help move the bigger projects forward that are sometimes like hospitality or larger scale residential, corporate interiors. And then I have my own practice, Matejcik Design, as well, that I have a few residential projects and have done galleries and more of a smaller scale.
So I'm just trying to imagine what you really do. Do you pick out the luminaires? Do you do the calculations? Do you just give them a consultancy?
I guess within the Loop practice, we can come up with like a whole package, and it can be really detailed of picking the luminaires, making sure everything is up to code. And then sometimes it's just this gallery has to be perfect, and I help with the layout, the proof, and calculate that. But maybe it's only one fixture. Some residential clients really are hands-on with the decorative fixtures, and you're supporting creating their home. So it varies by project, and sometimes it's just a simple calculation.
It sounds like nothing is the same.
Even if I'm teaching the same class another year, it's a different batch of students. And I'm always reworking it as well of how can this be better and smoother and spark more ideas and creativity.
That's such a valuable thing.
Yeah, I feel really lucky to be in this place. Actually loving my job.
Is there something else you're really proud of? Could be also a project, no matter.
Yeah. So thinking back to my professional practice and a moment where I realized, oh, I am actually a lighting designer. There's always this imposter syndrome around it. Was a retrospective at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago. And the retrospective was on Paul Pfeiffer. And I helped with this installation called The Saints. And it's a sound and video installation that shows the 1996 World Cup final between England and West Germany. And the final is presented on a screen in a really large room that takes a minute to walk across with like double height ceilings. So there's this procession happening within the room. And outside of the video, it's a sound installation where they have the cheering and recording of the game itself. Within that space, I helped them make sure it was really brightly illuminated and light contrasted the rest of the gallery. So it almost felt like you were floating when you walked through this nearly shadowless space. And towards this small screen, there was this roar of applause. I set up the scene and I proved this and can look at the calculations and to have that literal acoustical celebration within that moment in a established museum was one of my first like pinch me moments.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, to see it all come together.
You said you're an architect. Do you want to explain more? Like, how did you actually really end up there? Like, did you ask people like, "Hi, I want to educate people about lighting design," or but first you had to do your master's degree at Parsons to become a teacher? Would you like to share a little bit of where did you start and how did it come that you love lighting?
Yeah, I guess those are two passions of mine, education and lighting. I want to always be learning and supporting that pursuit as well. And both of my parents taught at a university level. My dad was a industrial engineering professor for over 30 years. So I grew up with that exchange of knowledge being um, just the norm of like what's expected if you have an expertise to share it. Um, and when I was little, when I first found out what an architect was as a second grader, um, I immediately was like, that's what I want to do. I made a little paper house in school and was like, oh, I'm going to be an architect slash artist. Was what I was saying for a decade until I stepped into undergrad and started an architecture degree at the University of Minnesota. And when I was at the university, was trying everything like product design classes, urban studies, studio art, but a foundation in architecture. But I took a daylighting course and seeing how daylight brought life to the built environment and allowed buildings to visually breathe and change with the arc of the day, and really understanding that and calculating it and tracing it and watching shadows uh, really brought me to understand the connection between architecture and light. And then I worked in some theatrical settings as well, and seeing the controlled um, lighting situation and how you can manipulate that to tell a story, and it becomes this undercurrent that really carries what's happening on stage in a way that elevates it and becomes this sort of magic behind the obvious.
As an educator, you are really close to the next generation of lighting designers. Is there something you would recommend to somebody who is just starting out, maybe not knowing what to do or that lighting is actually a field?
Yeah. Um, for people who are just starting out in their design careers, um, and maybe are just hearing about lighting, I'd encourage you to connect with a lighting designer because this is an emerging field. Not everyone comes at it from the same path. There are these graduate courses that can lead you in that direction, but I know a lot of lighting designers who spent decades doing theatrical lighting or came in with an architecture background and somehow connected to a lighting design firm, and their skills carried over. So even if you don't have formal lighting design training, connecting with a lighting designer might lead you to unexpected opportunities as well.
What fascinates people most when you explain your job?
That it exists. Uh, a lot of times people have never heard of a lighting designer or automatically think theater. Uh, but when they actually um, step back and think about what a lighting designer is and the power of light in our built environment, you see this aha moment, and then immediately followed with questions of um, like what that means, and so many personal experiences too of lighting that was like a magical point in their life or one that's like really frustrating, and that they recognize that we need to change. And in a way, even stating that lighting design is a profession gives people this understanding that like there is agency around light and it should be there to support their lives.
Katrina, I'm very happy you are here, and I hope we hear much more from you and that you teach a lot more students at Parsons.
Thank you, Jan.
Are you thinking about lighting as a career? You can study it, practice and theory in Germany, UK, whole Europe, US or globally. Pick a tech route or a design route, bachelor, master, postgrad. Leave us a comment and we are also happy to share some programs in the show notes. You have been listening to Lichthören, a joint project of the lighting societies of Germany, Austria and Switzerland. Thank you for listening. You'll find ways to connect with us through the comments or in the show notes.